And hey, everybody, hope you're doing well, that you had a great weekend, and that you're excited about the week ahead. I know I am. So, welcome back to Wingman Nation, where today we're going to find out just how slow things are at RV manufacturing plants. And word is, it's very slow. I'll tell you about someone I spoke with that purchased a new travel trailer and was shocked at what one dealer was trying to do to him. We'll talk about banks. Yep, banks, and how they're now looking at new RV loans. And the answer may surprise you. And we'll talk about the seduction of buying payments. Oh yeah, you know, it's only $15 a day. Yep, $15 a day forever on something that will likely not last the length of your loan. But before we go any further, make sure and let me know where you're catching today's video from and drop a comment or two so I'll know what you're thinking of today's subjects. All right, let's get right into it with my friend from Cheyenne Camping Center, Mr. Kevin Fraser. I want to get your take on the current state of the RV market as we're going into summer of 2024 and they continue to be slow. Are the manufacturing plants, what are you hearing at the manufacturing plant level? Are they working still just a few days a week, or any of them back to full schedule? What's going on? And just let me know what you see.
The happiest manufacturers have their plants running 3 days a week. Consolidation continues at the majors. Most of the plants are shut down, almost. The traditional 4th of July shutdown, which is for usually, well, it's really busy a week, but usually 2 weeks, is going to be at least a month long. The problem this year, as far as inventory goes, is weirdly that you might not be able to get any stuff because of two things. They're not producing, and all of the drivers that deliver RVs around the country have quit because they had no work and they were being squeezed with lower rates, even though they had less runs to make. Where's the market at? It's way down. It was sad and horrible last year, and then this year it went down. It kept stepping down. Nobody expected, including myself, that we'd step down in April, but we did. And then it stepped down again so far in May. Now, I've had some private conversations with bankers. Two of them I do business with, one that just wants to do business with me. And they're telling me that a lot of RV dealers are going to fail very shortly. They've also come to the conclusion that the only manufacturers that are certain to survive are the big three. Of course, Forest River and Thor and Winnebago. That the others are at risk. I mean, it's a tough, tough time. It is unlike any downturn the RV industry has experienced since 1979-81, where the proximate cause, the black swan event that kicked everything in the ash can, was an Arab oil embargo. This
Mm-hmm.
time, what kicked it down the stairs was the Putin invasion of Ukraine. But we have got some real economic problems, and it's going to take a while to drag ourselves out.
I spoke with folks, by the way, I spend much of my time every day on the phone talking to real live customers that have purchased RVs from the RV dealers that I trust and the RV Dealers I Trust network. And recently I spoke with a guy, Kevin, that purchased from you. This guy loves you. But he said that he had shopped at Bish's and Camping World. He found a $20,000, you may remember this story. He found a $20,000 RV. That's what they advertised it for, 20 grand. He wanted to buy it. He sat down. By the time they were going to, everything was added on. It was $35,000. $35,000 for a $20,000 RV. They're still doing these tricks, these ways to get people to just, it will bury people. So anyway, this guy ends up, long story short, and it's on the website, but he tells a story. He came to Cheyenne Camping Center. He was shocked. The price on the window was the price on the window. It was the real price. It didn't change. I guess that's the way you have people that come from Arizona and Florida and all over the place to buy the RVs from you.
I got 400 people looking at the truth that was produced 6 years ago about the Camping World method of taking a $30,000 camper and making it a $50,000 ticket. This happens every day. I hear about this, but there's a couple of things afoot. First of all, financing is expensive and difficult to obtain. And so now those unbelievable abuses, I'll bet you that example you told me at Bish's. Remember, Bish's has the same managers that put the mechanisms in place at Camping World. So they run practically the same playbook. So if you've got a situation where you're trying to finance a $20,000 camper, the lender, the bank knows what they're worth, knows what that
Right.
collateral value is. And when credit is tight, they're not going to let you go that far over. I am glad, happy to see a return to collateralized loans. 3 years ago, oh, the man's got a 750 credit score. Oh, it doesn't matter if they're borrowing 250% of the invoice. Oh, it's not our problem if he gets into trouble doing this. No, it's not your problem, but it's the customer's problem. And that's one of the reasons why
Yeah.
business is so bad. We can't take anything in trade that anybody bought from those other stores in the last, I don't know, 10 years since they started doing this stuff badly because they owe so much more than the RV is worth. Sometimes they get mad at us when we're the ones that bring them the news, but that's happening less and less. So the news must have gotten out. People tell me they go to the campground and they sit around and the stories are about how, oh yeah, I got in that new RV last year and I didn't have to put any money down, but I know I'm screwed. Well, of course you are. Why did you do it?
Are you still seeing though? I mean, people are still coming in that are horribly upside down. I'm smiling at it, but it's just awful to see the volume of people that, as I say, got their heads cut off and didn't even know it. Had no idea.
Well, that was the seduction. That was the seduction of payments. Like this has always been a problem in America. The very, very low payments. They're always about payments. You were never like that, but there are people that are that just about payments. And when interest rates, 4 years ago, we had retail rates that were one third what they are now. And with payments based on interest rates, they looked like they were free, but they were for 15 or 20 years, and nothing is for free. Oh, if somebody is completely negative and in trouble. We talked earlier about how if you got your RV for sale or you're going to trade it off, don't cancel your ESP until you've transferred title. But that might not apply. That example that you gave where the man responded to a $20,000 advertisement but ended up with a $35,000 invoice. He might have paid $8,000 for that ESP. And he would be the person that should immediately cancel the ESP because he might have $5,000 or $6,000 left, which can be applied to his upside down position in the note. He can't get it as a refund; it'll go back to the lender. But then it's a 20,000 RV. He can buy a new 5-year ESP in the open market for something far less than two. So he would come out 5,000, 6,000 ahead. So it's not necessarily a slam dunk. You got to look at what you paid for that ESP. Never pay more than 10%.
Are there any dealers that you're hearing about that are still sitting on 2022 models that never sold? Or are there still some remaining
Yeah.
2022s, 2023s that are sitting on maybe on dealer or manufacturer lots? What's the status on them and what in the world is going to happen?
Well, 2023s aren't that old. There's still a lot of them around. They're fine. 2022s, we got to the absolute peak in price on what dealers were being charged for the RVs. So those were poor value all the way around. We've backtraced on price. We've backtraced roughly, and it doesn't. I don't have perfect knowledge of everybody. These are my weighted sample from Forest River, but I'm an outside observer for Winnie and Thor, and it looks like it's similar. Overall price increase was the highest at Winnie, second highest at Thor, and the most moderate was Forest River. And the Forest River guys have given back more than half of the big run up. So the price on the 23s was within the range of reason, and RVs are going to be relatively static. Let us use this example past his prologue and say it's a redo of 7981. In the rest of the 1980s, we had big hair and modest price increases on RVs. They never went up more than 2 or 3% a year. So going forward, if you're being seduced to buy a 22 because of its great bargain, make sure you compare it to a 23 and a 24 because they're not going to go up much.
All right, if you made it to here in the video, what do you think of these chats that I have with Kevin Fraser? Let me know if you think that they are important conversations to have and good info to know. If you would, please. Couple of things. As much as I am disillusioned about the higher interest rates and the terrible economic conditions, I am glad to know that banks are not making those terrible loans that bury so many people that were seduced by those super low payments at the dealership. I know it's preventing a lot of people from buying, but I'd rather see folks not buy than bury themselves financially if they're only going to end up regretting buying an RV altogether. So, another question I have for you. Do you see what some bankers are seeing in terms of what's ahead for a lot of dealers? In other words, that they're going to be going out of business in the near future? Or do you see some kind of a return to normal after the election in November? I do enjoy reading your comments. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks to Kevin Fraser for giving us a ton of great info about the RV industry from a dealer's perspective. And yes, Cheyenne Camping Center is a member of the RV Dealers I Trust Network. I love these people, I do, and the way they do business. When it's time to buy a new RV, they don't come any finer than the folks in the RV Dealers I Trust Network. A link to them is down below, and I do hope that you'll check them out. Y'all be a good wingman or a good wing woman for others, and let me hear from you. I'll see you again very, very soon.